Hi guys, Rod from Think Bensonium here, and in today's video I want to try and consider how efficacious the scientific method is in terms of dealing with the challenges humanity faces. As with all things in the 21st century, it appears that people in general are moving to more polarized positions about the potency and authority of the scientific method, as it is practiced today in the 21st century. It is rather disconcerting that in the face of COVID-19, there are an increasing number of individuals who call into question the science of vaccination, because vaccines are the best weapon we have against this terrible virus. Staying with the COVID-19 pandemic for a moment, it is worth pausing to appreciate just how powerful and quite frankly wonderful the scientific method is. As someone who was a professional biologist and is now a very keen amateur physicist, the success humanity has enjoyed by applying the scientific paradigm to understand our universe and to the problems that have plagued humanity for millennia is second to none. Truly, science has delivered large benefits to us all as a species. It has also allowed us to understand the incredible counterintuitive beauty of how our universe operates. Finally, when applied to the study of living things, the scientific method has revealed an incredibly beautiful and complicated nanotechnology that contains two distinct chemical languages in the form of RNA and amino acid sequences, with molecular machines, the ribosomes, performing the task of translating nucleotide sequences into the amino acid polymers that make up the protein machines that are the basis of the wizardry that is life itself. It is important that I give full weight to the wonders of what we have achieved with science, because I do not want this video to be seen as anti-scientific, in the sense that I am someone who is against the scientific method. However, now that I've made my position clear, it is time for me to address the unhelpful excess of those who think that the scientific method is all-powerful, or to borrow a theological term, omnipotent. For just as those who want to ignore and disparage the potency of the scientific method are deeply mistaken, so too are those who believe science gives us the power to achieve almost anything. It is this latter thought that I now turn my attention. To begin with, one might ask, why does it matter if people overestimate the potency of the scientific method? Well, my answer is to give you a very specific example where overestimating what science can achieve has already become deeply problematic. The example I'm thinking of is global warming, or as I now like to refer to it, global heating, because this problem is arguably the greatest existential threat humanity has ever faced. In relation to global heating, there are way too many individuals who discuss the idea that one day to deal with this problem is simply to leave our planet and colonize a new one. I am sick to death of all the attention that is being given to colonizing the planet Mars, or newspapers heralding the discovery of yet another Earth-like planet, which perhaps can sustain carbon-based life that is only a mere 100 or so light years from Earth. When I hear such musings, I want to shout, no! These solutions are scientifically impossible. We are never going to colonize another world like Earth. There is no planet B. We either fix up the mess we have caused on this planet, or we face the dire consequences of moving our planet's atmosphere out of what many have called the Goldilocks zone. Our planet is like baby bear's bed that is just right. And yet I hear loud protests. How can you be so dogmatic? Surely it is only a fool who guesses what science may or may not achieve in the future. Do you really think that someone living in the time of Newton could have ever imagined we got to the moon? You only doubt because your own lack of understanding and imagination precludes you from the possibility that we shall one day find a solution for travelling at near light speed to other worlds. Not so fast, my science-smitten protagonist. Let me first ask you a question. If you had asked Sir Isaac Newton which is easier, to turn a metal into gold or to put a man on the moon, what would have been his answer? Of course, while none of us can be absolutely certain, we can at least develop a strong case that his answer would have been to turn a metal into gold, given that Isaac, when he wasn't creating the subject of classical physics, or musing over the meaning of the biblical book of Revelation, or destroying the reputation of a scientific competitor, or delighting in finding new ways of detecting counterfeit currency. His other hobby was alchemy. You see, it seemed so obvious to the medieval alchemists. Over time, they had witnessed so many wonderful inorganic chemical reactions where the chemical properties could be so completely altered in a test tube that was subjected to a certain chemical procedure. Surely all that was required to change a base metal like iron into gold was just to find that secret chemical formula, that magical set of reactions that would make the discoverer of such a process the richest man in all the world, a literal King Midas. Compare that with the energy required to sending a man to the moon, and surely there was no contest in which problem was more tractable. And yet our middle-aged scientific forebears were so utterly mistaken. Sending a man to the moon was a very tractable problem because it just required the chemical energy of the work necessary to accelerate a man and his rocket to slightly faster than the escape velocity of the Earth's gravitational field. Yet to change a metal into gold? Well, that requires the energy of nuclear fusion, and not just a form of nuclear fusion that occurs on our nearest star, the Sun. No, even our Sun, with an energy output that has powered all life on Earth for 4 billion years, is only converting hydrogen into helium, a mere fraction of the energy that would be required to smash together 3 iron atoms and a couple of hydrogen nuclei to form gold. The energy required to create gold in the quantities found on Earth can only be achieved in a star as it goes into supernova. To put it bluntly, alchemy using standard chemistry was always impossible, and so the alchemist's quest turned out to be truly an historical failure of a scientific quest. Given this reality, surely alchemy should serve as a stark warning to our generation, especially to those who hold the view that nothing is outside our reach when it comes to applying the tool of science to a pressing problem. In many ways, we are like that cocky teenage boy who thinks he's God's gift to womanhood because he managed to get his first date. It comes as a bit of a shock when he finds a woman who is no more attracted to him than she is to an inanimate table. In the same way, we remember our scientific conquests: space travel, computers, vaccination, sanitation, transportation, while completely overlooking our failures: alchemy, the cure to the common cold, and most humbling, even a generalized mathematical solution to the 3-body problem. At this point, I think an analogy would be helpful. Our relationship with science is a bit like a person in a room with a series of doors and a set of keys. We can try each key in each lock, and some keys will unlock certain doors, yet other doors remain firmly locked no matter what key we try. In some ways, potential scientific challenges are very much like the locked doors, and the keys are our scientific methodologies. Some doors open with ease, while other doors open only after we have tried many keys. Some doors remain stubbornly locked no matter how many keys we try, even when the locksmith makes us a new set. Continuing this analogy, our generation is like the man who has opened some of the doors to the locked rooms and so assumes that all the doors will now open with his set of keys, forgetting that at least in a few doors he has tried all the keys and none worked. Our collective amnesia at remembering that science has limits leads to a very dangerous delusion that we have more options available to us when it comes to the serious threat of global heating. This delusion becomes even worse when it is linked to the all-too-human propensity of being attracted to certain scientific ventures because they appear more cutting-edge and exciting. The psychological problem with trying to fix global heating is that we are not in fact creating anything new. We are simply trying to use science to preserve something we already have but are in great danger of losing. Annoyingly, humans in general are very bad at preservation because, like children, we often take what we have for granted. As the old saying goes, we, like sheep, are much more susceptible to the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. Thus, travelling at near light speed to a new Earth-like planet, or even the more tractable challenge of sending a man to Mars, to many appears much more sexy than using our scientific method to slow the increase of carbon dioxide in our atmosphere. Yet nature doesn't care two hoots about what turns us on scientifically. We can dream all we like about how wonderful it would be to colonize an Earth-like planet in another solar system, but such daydreaming will not change the fact that unless we urgently find a solution that meets our current energy requirement, that does not result in large quantities of carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases being expelled into our atmosphere, then the future of our species appears rather grim, given that the same science that so many trust in to send them to Mars is also now telling us loud and clear that our current actions will result in the Earth's carrying capacity for life collapsing in the next 50 to 100 years. The tragedy is that there are already plenty of solutions out there that will help curb our carbon emissions, and yet these solutions don't get the attention they deserve because they are not the meat that occupies a good science fiction novel. For example, the YouTube channel Just Imagine examines in detail how something as simple as an electric scooter could play a small part in solving our existential global heating challenge, and I've put a link to one of my brother's videos below. Yet too many of us will continue to dream of new planet B whilst ignoring the very real challenges that are now necessary if we are going to sustain the very valuable resources that exist on our own special planet. In conclusion, let's all stop this other planet daydreaming and get on with the important task of using real science, even if it ain't that sexy, to address the very real challenge of preserving our beautiful planet for the sake of our children and hopefully the many future generations that will follow us. Okay, so that is my thought video for this week. If you like this video, please do hit the like key, and if you want to see more of my content, then please do subscribe to my channel by hitting the subscribe button and the bell notification key below. Until next time, I hope your body and mind are in a good place. Bye for now.